very welcome. This is The Nameless Ones. My name is Aveen and I am an angel healer and soul coach. So if I had to give you one of my top tips for navigating through these current energies, I would suggest utilizing what's called the law of balance. Because these cosmic influences and these solar flashes, solar flares, we have geomagnetic storms happening, we are ascending, upgrading, moving into our fifth dimensional structures. By using the law of balance, you will get the best of both worlds. So how can you do that? Well, the law of balance is by you creating a balance between effort and surrender. So that will look like you showing up with effort, taking action, being proactive. It's the masculine principle of yang, of being a physical being, doing physical things towards the reality that you prefer, towards the things you want to manifest. And then we have surrender. So they're very opposite energies, like yin yang, like masculine feminine. So the surrender part is the yin, the feminine, the receptive principle, where you trust, where you're in a state of spiritual knowing, where you have faith that destiny is also playing its part in this equation. And it really is an equation. It's about adding effort plus surrender, equaling the results of what you want. When we put too much importance, when we place a goal or a dream on a pedestal, we can go overdrive in the doing, in the efforting, which then knocks us off balance. And that's where the law of balance comes in. When we go too far the other way, where we're too much in the yin, in the passive, where we're not taking action, we're not making the phone call, we're not responding to the potential to do that job interview, whatever it is, if we're just sitting in our sitting room, hiding behind the TV, or isolating in a cocoon, trying to shut out the outside world, there's a lack of engagement there. So again, just like the other way, it's going to knock you off balance. These current timelines require balance. Balance isn't always the most sought after quality or activity or way to be in the world for human beings. The human collective is still very much attached to its infancy perspective of expecting life to look a certain way or be a certain way. And we're really being asked to surrender the 3D model, the 3D's perspective from ego of how life should look. So currently you might be being asked to release your attachment to the way you think your new home should look, your job should look. Maybe you're dating people and you have a very set idea of how this woman should look or how this man should look. And instead of being open to the energy, to the feeling of somebody, and to your intuitive prompts about somebody, you could very well be sitting across from a soulmate on a coffee date, but you're not able to see it because your ego has put up a wall and said, this doesn't match what it's decided is what you want. So this is really a time of expanding our horizons and expanding our ideas. Literally our ideas. And being more creative, more open to actually seeing and feeling and connecting to what opportunities are showing up in our lives and to what's actually in front of us. And being raw and authentic and honest about whether this experience matches our heart's desire. Not the ego mind, not what society says, but matches your heart's desire. So that's a big theme for this energy right now, creating that balance between putting in the action, putting in the effort, but also balancing that with rest, surrender, meditation, yin practices, taking it slower, taking it easy. But again, it's about trying to keep as even keel as you can on the scales of justice with that. Okay? So if this is resonating for you, if you can feel that there's parts of you that you've totally gone too far into fear-driven overwork, overachieving, overproductivity to a point where you've exhausted yourself and you have not kept that law of balance by taking the surrender point seriously, or flip that, maybe you've just been curled up in a ball hiding from the world because there's a part of you afraid to actually engage out there in the nitty gritty of it in case you get hurt again and you feel vulnerable. You don't want to get your heart hurt again, or you don't want to fall into another trap with a bad job or a bad employer, or fill in the gap. You can see how this is really important, this law of balance, that equal equation. And you're not always going to get it perfectly equal, and nobody's saying that you can, but it is great if you can attempt to keep it in somewhat of a sync, okay? Some kind of equilibrium there. So if this is resonating, give me a thumbs up, share in the comments what you feel is the area that you're trying to balance. I love to learn from other people's examples and look for evidence of how people are using these principles, because at the end of the day, it's just an intellectual exercise unless we're actually implementing these guidelines, this wisdom from spirit, in a better way. So perhaps you're aware as I'm talking that there's one part of you that's lacking. You'll kind of know, well, I haven't been taking much action lately. I need to up that. I need to create more balance so that in my restful moments, I feel I can relax. This rest is in perfect balance with my doing masculine side, so that there's a sense of justification and there's a sense of, well, I've been productive. I've showed up in my life. I've showed up for this soul's mission as best I can. When you do your best, let God do the rest. Never said that before. I like that. When you do your best, let God do the rest. That is your angel message for these energies, and I hope that helps somebody. Please subscribe for more of this kind of content if you're interested, and share with somebody that you feel might be out of balance. Maybe somebody who's working too hard. And when we are in workaholism, we are not trusting. We are screaming, our energy screams, I am not enough. I have to overwork. I have to drag myself through endless hours of productivity in order to just feel I can justify my existence. you will not attract and manifest from that frequency, because it's a lack frequency. It's even though to other people looking in it looks like, oh, this whole work ethic thing, and but actually if you go underneath that, if you look under the rug, there's a serious lack of self-love, of feeling worthy, of feeling that you are enough as you are, breathing as a child of God. And I speak from experience because I used to be a workaholic. Still have a tendency to go down that road. I have to really, really mind it and be careful. But always bring it back into balance, using the law of balance, and then going into surrender. And then you might know somebody who's not taking action, who is, that's another fear, where you're hiding away under the bushes, waiting for life to knock on your door. So, we've all done that. We've all gone through periods perhaps of intense trauma or shock or heartache. And I'm not saying, there are times in life we just need to sit in the stillness and sit with our feelings and give ourselves permission to go into deep rest. And I remember, if you look back on one of my very, very first videos on this channel, if you scroll back through the history, it's way down the very end. I think it's like the first video. I did a full-on trance channeling, and they said, the nameless ones who had channeled the angels were saying, deep rest, depression. Depression is deep rest. Depression, deep rest. It's actually, it can be where somebody just needs to heal. Now the tricky part there is where people fall into attachment to that pattern. They fall into attachment to getting buried under that deep rest. And then it can become self-hatred turned in on the self, or a lack of expression and being shut down. And that's not good at all. But again, everything in life, really, we're always walking a tightrope of balance. We're always looking for that equilibrium. And it's not always going to be a straight line. There's going to be times in life you're going to have to push yourself more into the effort, or more into the work side of things, or the physicalness of life. If you're building a house, you're going to have to exert more energy, burn more calories. You're going to have to break a sweat more than usual, but you're doing that with the goal in mind that you're going to have a house built, a home at the end of it, okay? So you can push through those times, and then when the home is built, you get to have that deep rest, you get to have that surrender and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But it's when we go hell for leather either way, we get out of whack. And I know many of you have already told me personally that you can relate to how the last few months, with all the planets retrograde and everything, how it has deeply impacted us and our ability to get the wheels turning again in our vehicle, in our lives. So there is great support for action now. There is great support for forward motion. So yeah, give me a thumbs up if this resonates, and I send you the law of balance blessings. Thank you.